She doesn't fight.
Almost there, like you said, we go right.
Okay. Sounds like my mic is on already.
Good evening, everybody. I am going to give announcements from back here tonight because if I come up there, I'm going to trip over this cabling and it will be the end of the evening. Just kind of a side note, I had something kind of fun and frustrating happen this afternoon. We're trying to schedule some things into next year's calendar, and it's difficult because we have so much going on. And I just thought that was kind of a good problem to have to share with you. So if you want to come next Friday, you're welcome to. You'll be lonely and you won't be able to get into the club because we're closed. In honor of the 4th of July, the clubhouse will be closed, and I'm hoping a lot of you will be on the boat for the fireworks boat cruise. We do still have tickets left, but we're closing registration on July 2nd, which is next Wednesday. And you can link up to that right on our homepage. There's a live link to be able to register to sign up for that. It's $50. It's rain or shine. However, if the Cleveland does not shoot off its fireworks, you get your money back. So we have field trips. We're like right in the middle of the season. Got Bev Frazier here is just like cranking overtime, getting field trips for us. So Mansfield Reformatory. I did a faux pas. Kim, and Kim's here too. She's going to kill me. So our field trips are going like crazy. Mansfield Reformatory, which is one of our most popular ones, is on August 2nd. The registration opens June 30th. And you'll be able to sign up for that. And then the Cleveland National Air Show is obviously Labor Day weekend. That registration opens July 7th. We're opening up 1 week early just to give people time to think about it and sign in for that. We still have our Porter Public Library exhibit on water. Tomorrow's the last day. So if you want to see that one, cruise over there. There's a lot of really nice shots there from our members. And the Heights Arts Gallery, black and white, is still running through August 10th. So we have a call for entries for another exhibit. The theme is in the details, and it's not necessarily macro. It could be like a fleeting glance or something that people haven't noticed before that's a detail. You can enter up to 3 images, and that closes on July 11th. And then it's coming into competition season. July 11th is our first people competition, which also includes a pictorial entry if you would like. The deadline for that is Wednesday, July 2nd. That's next Wednesday. And you have to have them in by then. As always, you enter them in through Shutter Score. And tonight, we have with us Doug Hansgate. He has established himself as a classical portraiture artist, and I'm going to let him give all the details. You guys have heard about him in the last few weeks, but I'm going to turn it over to him, and we'll get his presentation up.
Windscreen test?
You're good.
There you are. Good. Okay. Well, good. Welcome, everybody, and glad that you invited me to tonight's presentation. I have a lot to try to cover in a very short. Classical portraiture, which is what we're here to study tonight, something that people spend quite a bit of time normally studying and learning to, properly do. And my job tonight is to, I need to replicate my screen here. Hold on one second.
Are you ready for the lights off?
Yeah, we can do that. I just need to jump over here for a second. So I have an awful lot to try to get across. And the problem with that is that we've got 2 hours to try to teach you what took me years to learn. So I'm going to do the best I can with what we have, and I just want to mirror extended HDMI. There I go. Okay. So I'm not going to spend a lot of time talking about me. I've been shooting for 45 years. I've been published in almost every major magazine in the world. My studio's in North Tonawanda. My studio is 13,000 square feet. It is a substantial studio, and I work with fashion companies and models from basically all over the world. And I teach all over the US and Canada. I run workshops as well. I'll talk a little bit about that later. Now, let's get into some things. Up here you'll see what I call, this is my light chart. This is the light chart that I've developed years ago. I'm going to see if I can't actually get my Photoshop to generate it a little bit easier. Let's go to a standard essentials Photoshop instead of all that craziness. I teach Photoshop, I teach Lightroom, I teach a whole bunch of different things in online classes and through universities and all of that. One of the biggest problems that I have with new students is that they don't understand a light chart. I developed this light chart years ago, and it's basically the same thing as the light triangle, except that I think it's a little bit easier to understand. And the reason I need to start off with that is that particularly to this form of photography, we need to understand stops of light fairly readily. And what I mean by that is that every camera has something called a dynamic range. Years ago, our cameras had a 3 or 4 stop dynamic range, meaning that if you got outside of that 3-stop range of light, it would either be pure white or pure black. Our cameras have become much more sophisticated. Nowadays, we have cameras that will reach a 10-stop range. I know there's advertisements out there that'll say that their camera is a 4-stop dynamic range or 14-stop dynamic range. Don't believe it. So our job in this particular genre is to make certain that black is black and pure light is pure light. So we have to make certain that if I take an exposure of this image, of this set that I have right now here, and let's see if I can switch over to Lightroom. And it's going to not let me do it quickly, so I'm going to have to do it the hard way. If I were to take a photo of this particular set, I would expect to see this background be almost black. And so if I were to just take another frame here and watch it come up, you'll see that the background is almost black. That's what I need for this genre. So that means that my light on my subject needs to be 5, 6, 7 stops brighter than that background. Otherwise, we're going to see the background. We don't really want to see the background. Yes, we can use Photoshop and Lightroom to do all of that. I'm pretty much a master in those types of techniques, but I'd rather shoot it right in the first place. So what we're going to do is I am going to ask Tasha to step up first. Tasha looks a little less nervous than our two younger models here, so I'm going to start with Tasha. Now, so here's Tasha. Now, the first thing that she did was she said, I'm going to step over here into this light, right? And that's the wrong position for her. When you're doing this type of photography, you always need to let your model know what the key light is. The key light is absolute key. This is her key light. This is what's going to light her. We're not worried about it lighting a little bit of the background. You notice that it's actually lighting some of this. Why is it lighting that? Anybody know? When we start to study light, light actually bounces. So it's bouncing off the inside of this side of this light box, and it's coming back and lighting my background. So if I want to not light the background, I need to turn this light all the way to this direction, so that it does not light the background. Now, if I were to take an exposure, the background would be pure black because there is no light on it. What I want her to do is to imagine that this is a window. And the reason I use this big softbox to start with is that this classic forms of portraiture can be done in a natural window. If you use that window and you have sun coming in that, or you have light coming in that window, you can do everything that we're going to do tonight, as long as you know how to use that window. So I'm not going to move my window. My window is going to stay here. It's going to stay fixed in place. What I'm going to ask my model to do is I'm going to ask my model to move into different positions in relationship to this window. And as she moves into different positions, we're going to end up with different light. So first of all, I'm going to have her step right here. Right, put your feet right there for me. And I'm going to just make an image and show you what that image looks like. And again, you'll have to excuse me a little bit because I'm kind of tied to making this as tight as I can here. So there's the image that I just made. Now you'll notice that she is lit, the background is pure black, right? Which is what we want. It's showing us that I have enough dynamic range to be able to, where's my, oh, my headset's all the way down there. No wonder it's acting weird. I have enough dynamic range, and we might have to turn this down now that I'm actually wearing it on my ear. So I have enough dynamic range to be able to separate her from the background. And so what I've done is I've got about 7 stops of light difference. And if I were to look at that light chart for a second, and let's see if I can go back easily to Photoshop. Of course, it won't do it. So I've got to pull up Photoshop manually. If we look at the light stop chart for a second, I just want you to pay attention to a couple things about this chart. If I were to take and grab a brush and just get a red color and something a little bit smaller and maybe something a little more intense. If we were to just look at shutter speed alone, if I'm shooting this at 1/125th of a second, and that is my I'm just going to go to a solid brush. So I'm shooting this at 1/25th of a second, and I want that as my starting point. 4 stops away, you can count them by simply using these big indices. So in order to get 4 stops away, if I shot this at 1/25th, that background needs to be 1, 2, 3, 4 stops down here to an eighth of a second. That's 4 full light stops. Now you can count your light stops on f-stops, you can count it on shutter speed, you can count it on ISO, it matters not. What matters is how many stops it is. There's another thing that most people don't think about. And it is rather simple actually. It's the fact that when you adjust in manual mode, if you adjust, say, your shutter speed, and you adjust your shutter speed by counting clicks, 3 clicks on your dial is what? 1 full stop. All right? Donna knows this because I crammed it into her when she did a workshop with me in Louisiana, right? But 3 clicks on my shutter speed is going to give me 1 full stop of light difference. If I go another 3, it's going to give me 2 stops of light. So let's imagine that I want to have 4 stops more light on my shutter speed. How many clicks do I need to count? I need to count 12, right? And I need to count 12 so that right now I'm shooting at a shutter speed of 400th of a second. And so what I'm going to do is go to a shutter speed of 320 is 1 click, 2 click, 3 clicks, that's 200. That's kind of familiar, right? Half of 400, there's 1 stop. 1, 2, 3, there I'm up to 6. 1, 2, 3, I'm up to 9. 1, 2, 3, I am now up to 4 full stops more light. When I take that exposure, what do you think you're going to see on Lightroom? And please let me change Lightroom. There's the background, right? So I just proved to you that 4 full stops of light difference between subject and background are enough separation for me to create this dramatic light, all right? So that's kind of like the first overall understanding that you need to have if you're going to start to shoot this kind of dramatic lighting. You need to understand that you need that 4 or more stops of light to make this work. Now, what I'm going to ask Emily, right? Tasha. Oh, damn. In studio, my assistant's job, she's got these 5x7 cards. She writes the names of the model on it. And while the model is standing there, she periodically walks behind and holds it up for me so that I can, because I'm just terrible with names. I mean, I've got like 8,500 names in my database on my phone, and it just doesn't happen. All right, so I'm going to have Tasha come to the back of that light, right about there, and not quite step out just a little bit, and step towards me just a touch, right there. Now, I need to move my light back, right? So I need to go back those 4 stops. So I need to have 12 stops the other direction, right? So I'm going to take this all the way back up to 400. And now when I take the shot, you'll see that I now have light on Tasha, all right? Now, that's kind of cool because I can now do a bunch of different things with that light. What do you call this particular form of lighting? Anybody got an idea? Garbage. This is garbage lighting. Yes, if I had to name it in some way, it would be considered broad light, but I still consider this garbage lighting, right? Now, how am I going to fix the garbage lighting? What I'm going to ask Tasha, yes, I got it. What I'm going to ask Tasha to do is to walk closer towards me just a little bit, right there, all right? And I'm going to take and make another frame. Now you notice I'm not even looking through the camera, so I'm not worried about anything. It should autofocus, it should transmit okay. You'll see that what's happened is the light is starting to wrap around her face. The light, it's stronger on this side of her face than it is here. And so we're starting to get, this would be considered where we have the ability to be able to shoot broad or short light. Now what is broad or short light? So this time I'm going to have Natasha step forward. I want to say Natasha instead of just Tasha. my grandfather was born in Russia, so we go to Natasha, right? Any rate, but what I'm going to have her do is I'm going to have her look straight on to the camera. Turn your head just a little bit that way. All right, now, again, yes, I would be closer and all of that. My camera is, I'm not worried about that. What I did was I now shot her in what we call broad light. Now, how do you know that it's broad light? The way we measure broad light is you measure from the tip of her nose to the outside of her ear, and you measure this distance. And this distance is whatever this, whatever this is. If I were to put my grid mode on and say, let's go to, let's put my overlays on, and I don't want to go to people view, thank you very much. Let's move this up, get it out of our way. Let's go to here. And so we have basically this amount of distance on this side of her face, and yet on the other side of her face, from her nose to here, we have a shorter distance. So the way you measure broad light or short light is the distance from the nose to the ear. If the light was over here on me, and I turned my head this direction, this distance is greater than this distance. This, if the light is on this side, means that this is broad light. Now, there's an old saying that you never shoot abroad with broad light. I know, it's 2025. I'm not supposed to say things like that, but I will tell you that what happens is that when you shoot a woman in broad light, their jawline becomes more prominent. If their jawline is more prominent, they look more masculine than they would like. So we always try to keep them in a more feminine mode. So when I'm teaching models, if you're a woman, I'm going to say, always try to keep your head turned into the light, because she's now going to be in short light. So step forward a little bit. I know this light's pretty bright, but now what she's going to do is she's going to turn her head, not quite that much, just a little bit, right? Just enough so that, and I'm going to move forward just a touch if I can, before I pull my computer off. So what we're going to do is we are going to position her so that the nose, and let me get out of face mode here. Why am I in face mode? I don't want face mode on, thank you. So, what we're going to do is we're going to make certain that her face is turned into the light. Now you'll notice that even though I have this set at ISO 400, or I've got my ISO pretty high, so I'm going to drop my ISO some because of her glasses and the light on her, I want to be there. And I also need to change my white balance. Why am I changing my white balance? Because I had this white balance set for my studio lights. So I'm just changing a couple settings so that I can get a little bit better light on her with her glasses. All right, so. No, it's fine. We can do some with them off too, Tasha, but let's not worry about that right now. All right. Now, the suggested names, I want to turn this off. Only find faces as needed. Okay. So, we talked about short light, broad light. And what we're going to do then is we need to figure out how to how to control this light properly so that we get the very best light on her to make her portrait look the very best we can. So what we're going to do is, instead of having her stand all the way back there, we're going to have her come closer to my camera. And as she comes closer to my camera and she keeps her head turned into my camera a little bit, we will have short light. And remember, this projection is not anywhere near, this is not anywhere near what I'm seeing on my camera. But even though she has this kind of serious frown look on her that I will work on getting rid of, the light on her is starting to be better, right? So I want to just make certain that, and I'm just trying to figure out why I'm having draw face region. I don't want to draw face region. I can't seem to get rid of my face detection. There we go. All right. So, what we're looking for is to try to have a beautiful portrait of Tasha, right? Now, there's a couple things that are happening with this. One is Tasha's pretty high in the window, right? And I told you I wasn't going to move my window, but I'm going to do it because I don't want to chase after a stool right now. I'm going to move my window up. And I'm going to have Tasha come back into that same spot. Tip your head to the light just a little bit, and a little bit of a smile, just a touch. All right? So, do you see what a difference it made? I'm not lighting as much of down here. I'm more focused on the face, right? Now, in the studio, my solution for this light would be pretty quick and easy, right? If I want to make this look better for her, all I'm going to do is take my window and tip my window up, pull it back a little bit. Tasha, come back in. I'm going to change my exposure just a touch. And I'm going to come here. And you'll see that it looks better yet, right? Because I've taken some of that light off of her chest and shoulder. But because I wanted you to use a natural window, and I'm going to teach you how to do that, I'm going to keep my window here. Now, what we're going to do is, each one of you tonight, if you brought how many people brought their cameras? Cool. What I'm going to want you to do is, you have an assignment, right? This is not just fun and games, right? I don't come out for fun and games. I'm a pretty serious guy most of the time, all right? So, what I want each of you to do is, before the night's out, I want you to have a portrait of Tasha in short light. This is short light, right? I want you to have that portrait. Now, I also want you to have a portrait of her in what we call split light. Now, the models are going to figure this out pretty quick, because all I need to do is have Tasha come forward even more. Keep coming, right about a little more towards me. Keep coming, right there, right there. Now, when Tasha's in this mode, and I actually adjust my camera, and look straight at the camera this time. So turn your head, rotate your head right towards the lens. This is called split light. Do you see how the light is split right down to her forehead? Now, how did we get that? How did we get it? All we did was have Tasha move from the back of the light source to the front of the light source. Now Tasha's going to be in a wedding. She doesn't know it, but she's going to be in a wedding. And Tasha's going to come all the way up here. And then she's going to look back just a touch, right there. And I'm going to just do this and see if I can't. And now chin down a little bit, and then look right here. So this is kind of a classic wedding shot that you would do in a window. Now, if Tasha steps even closer to me, and I open up my lens a little bit, she looks at it, and just turn your head just a touch back towards that light. There's even more exaggerated of that famous bridal shot. Now, you say, yeah, but I kind of like it, but at the same time, it's too harsh for a bridal shot. Why is it too harsh? Because my dynamic range of the light in this room versus the light that I'm lighting with Natasha is too great. All I need to do is have a little more light in the room and we'll be able to see her face, and yet her head will have this beautiful wraparound light. Now I have a solution for that. So what my solution is that I go back over here and I turn on another light. Now this light is typically called a hair light or separation light. And watch what happens when I have Tasha move into split light. So think about where you are, split light and hair light. Now head up just a touch, and I'm going to zoom in, and I'm going to change my exposure just a little bit. And I'm going to turn my light down a little bit. But just see how that hair light all of a sudden gave her separation from the background. So that separation now is kind of an integral part of this shot, right? She's still in split light. Her face is totally split by that light. The hair light is helping to separate her from the background. And now that I've turned that light down, she's got this beautiful purple going on in her hair here. So we're gonna, and go to split light, turn me straight on. There you go. All right. So I turned that light down on top so that I didn't have quite so much separation light, and I'm going to turn it down just a little bit more. Now at about this point in time, everybody in the audience usually says, this is terrific, Doug, but I'm starting to add this up in my head. B&H, I got a background, I got one light, I got another big light, I got a softbox, I got stands. You know, this is going to be like $1,000 for me to take a portrait, right? And that's where you're wrong. That little light that's up on that stand, you can do everything with that little light instead of this big one. That little light is 129 bucks, right? 129 bucks. So for less than $400, you could put together something like this and practice doing your portraits, right? Now, one of the things, and I don't know how well-heeled Cleveland Photographic Society is, but when I ran the Twin City Camera Club out of the Buffalo area, one of the things the club did was the club went out and bought a bunch of lights. And then we put it in the lending library. And then people could just borrow it from the club, right? You sign it out and you borrow it. So I don't know whether the club wants to consider that or not, but that's something that they may want to consider. All right, now, so we've got split light and we have short and broad light. Now what I want you to do is, this time Tasha's going to step forward, she's going to take her glasses off for me. And what we're going to do is we're going to find Rembrandt. Anybody know why Rembrandt light is so famous? Yeah, well, not only that, but what it does is it creates a triangle of light on her opposite cheek. So right over here, we're going to see a triangle of light develop. And what she's going to do is she's going to turn her head towards me, and then she's going to start to back up just a touch, slowly, slowly, slowly. Right up, right there. As soon as she gets to that point, I'm going to take a photo. And up on that window, you'll see that there is a triangle of light on her cheek, on her opposite cheek. Did I change the light? No. All I did was position her in that light. So you can do this at home with a window. Get a staircase that has a window in it, or get a dining room window that has a window in it. Stand up against the wall. If this is my window and this is the wall, where am I going to stand to take the shot? This is my wall. I'm going to stand on the other side of the wall, right? I'm going to come over here. I'm going to have Tasha stand next to the window, and I'm going to be right up against the wall of the house so that I'm shooting right down alongside that window. I'm not out here. I'm not looking at the window. I'm right up against the wall of that house. And when I do that, and now that I'm actually seeing what I'm shooting, right, I can control exactly what I want. So now she's in Rembrandt light. Well, guess what? Tasha has already figured out that if she turns her head into the light, she goes into what? Short light, right? So I want short Rembrandt. So I want to have her move forward to me a little bit and then rotate her head to the right there. And now we are in short Rembrandt. Do you see the triangle of light? Did I move the window? No. Did I do anything? No. Do you need to buy lights to do this? No. You just need to know how to use your window to create these forms. Now, what I'm going to have her do is do broad Rembrandt. Well, if you think about this light, she now knows, you see her when she came forward, she turned her head away from the light because she knows that she's got to go this way if she wants broad light. So she turned her head away from the light. But you see, we lost the Rembrandt light, right? There's no triangle on her cheek. All she needs to do is move back, move closer to the light. Now come forward to me, right there, and if my camera didn't drop, and I'm going to just click in here. Now we are in broad Rembrandt. So we have covered split light, short light, broad light, short Rembrandt, broad Rembrandt, and Rembrandt lighting in a couple of minutes' time, right? Took me a whole year to learn this, right? It's not even 37 minutes, right? 33 minutes, so it's like a new record for me, all right? So all we need to do now, and if you come out, in fact, Tasha can come out and take a look at this photo. So the light is starting to look pretty cool, right? Now, all right, that's cool, except it's not quite what we would consider to be Hollywood glamour. Why? Most Hollywood glamour was black and white, right? In the 40s and 50s, it was all black and white. So what I'm going to do is I'm just going to come over here to my develop module, and I'm going to take this and turn this into black and white. And I'm going to add a little bit of contrast. I'm going to take and pull the whites and pull the shadows a little bit and create this beautiful portrait of Tasha. Right? That is broad Rembrandt, right? Broad Rembrandt. Now, I don't necessarily would normally shoot broad Rembrandt for a woman, right? I've got a beautiful woman here, so what I'm going to do is put her into short Rembrandt, right? So Tasha now knows, because now she's an experienced model, she's ready for the scenes. She's got it figured out, right? She actually stepped into the perfect short Rembrandt position. Just a little smile. Not quite so much. Just what I want is a little bit of a head tilt. And what you do with your lips is you puff air, so puff, and then you freeze your lips. That's it. So like puff and stop. Just puff. And leave your lips open just a little bit. There you are.
Sorry. This is a new move for me.
I know. It's all good. All right. So if I want to turn these all into something a little bit more Art Nouveau-y, all I do is come back to my black and white image back here, right? Let's come back to my black and white. And then come all the way up here, and then just synchronize this. And synchronize everything is fine. So, Fortunately, my crop is off, but so this is kind of typical 40s style Art Nouveau. Now what has to happen here is a couple of things. One, I want Tasha to take your hair. Can you pull it back? Do you have a
Yeah.
I want it pulled back into either a top knot or at least just back on your head, right? I don't want that curl. So what I promise all of my models that work with me is that I will give them images. So they will have images for their social media. They'll have images that they can use. That's much better. Yep. And it's just because I'm looking for the genre. Now, here's another thing that most people don't. You know, I spent years trying to learn posing and things like this. First of all, if I am standing facing you and I turn this way and I put this shoulder up, what does it tell you? Emotionally, what does it tell you? It's a block, right?
I'm addressing.
Okay.
What do you need me to do?
I just let you kind of take them on. So
Okay.
Yeah. So it is that this is a block. This means don't get close to me. If I drop my shoulder, my leading shoulder to you, that means that I'm willing to accept what you are saying and I want to listen to you. In other words, I'm open to receiving your information. When we do portraits, we have to think about that all the time with our subjects. So as Tasha comes in and goes into a short Rembrandt, just a little closer to me, right about there. When she does that and she puts her chin down just a touch, I want to make certain that her forward shoulder, her left shoulder is down and her right shoulder is up a little bit, just a little bit. Not, you don't have to be exaggerated, just people will recognize this in a heartbeat, right? In a heartbeat, they will recognize this attitude of standoffish. And we do this naturally. So when we're doing portraits, you better think about all those things. Oh, thank you so much. You better think about those things because it will make the difference between a stellar image and an image that is just okay. All right? Now, what I wish you could see is this image on my screen. Instead of just on the projector. And afterwards, if you want to come up and take a look at it, you will see the difference in this. But our projector screen just doesn't have the resolution that that we would like to see.
Side screens are a little better.
side screens.
Are they? Okay. I didn't even know you had side screens. Okay. So now we want to try to make something classic for Tasha, right? This is kind of okay. This is what I would consider kind of a 40s style homemaker, housewife, type look. It has that look of austerity. It has that look of simplicity, all right? But I want to try to elevate it a little bit. Well, how can I do that? What if we were to bring Tasha to the front of my light? And what I want to do is do a little bit more of a profile. So I'm going to do a little bit of a profile shot, and then I'm going to add another light. So I'm going to get really sophisticated here, and I'm going to add another light. And this light I'm going to turn on to almost nothing if it turns on. Let's see if it turns on. There it goes. I want just the barest amount of light on it. Because what I want is Natasha to come here and to rotate your head towards the light. Towards the light. Yep. And right about there. And eyes, I want your eyes to my hands right here. Beautiful, just like that. Gorgeous. All right. Now, so what I did was this light is adding just a little bit of fill light, right? It's just enough fill light that you can see the rest of her, right? Now, again, if I were to take and turn this into a black and white, you would see that with a little bit of contrast, a little bit of work here, this will be a really rather stunning image, right? Now, the necklace itself doesn't necessarily go with this genre, but that's okay, right? I'm not necessarily worried about that. If I was really worried about it, oh, she's already taken it off. You know, if I'm looking for genre, I get very specific, right? I mean, the models that work with me know that Doug is something they call anal retentive. Every single little piece of the puzzle makes a difference to me. And I'm going to make certain that I have every single piece the way I want it before I leave an image. So I'm going to bring Tasha forward again. And so now it's all about expression, Tosh, right? I want kind of humility and softness and quietness, head down just a touch. Right there, eyes, beautiful, beautiful. All right? So, I've worked Tasha to death here for a minute. I am going to see if I can't get Emily to come up. Now that Emily has seen Tasha do all of this, she knows exactly what she needs to do, right? Got it? Okay. So come on up. So we've got a whole different subject, right? I'm not going to make Emily look like she is, you know, in a poverty-stricken 40s household, right? So we're going to do something that's kind of fun, edgy, and kind of very interesting for her. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to turn off this light. And I'm going to make this her key light. Now this light over here is a little bit different than what we have on the other side. First of all, this is, if you look at it, this is what we call a Fresnel lens. This lens is adjustable. So if I were to point it at the back wall so you can see it, I can adjust this lens to go very small, or I can adjust it to go very big. I'm going to keep it fairly small. And I'm going to give Emily, right? Oh, good. I'm going to give Emily, this is her key light. Now this is a harsh light, and it's going to give us a whole different feel, right? So when we talk about light, we talk about the qualities of light. Soft light, hard light. A small light source a long ways away will give you really harsh light, just like the sun will. The sun is, yes, the sun is very big, but the sun is a long ways away. So when you're outside in the sun, you have really harsh shadows. Anybody hear of coon's eyes? Do you know what coon's eyes are? Anybody do a portrait outside in the sun at 1 o'clock in the afternoon and their eyes looked black? Those are coon's eyes. It's because the sun is so bright that it comes across your eyebrow and shades, your eyebrow shades everything in your eye. Your eye looks black. So we can use that thought process, because what I'm going to do for Emily is we're going to create something kind of fun and edgy. And Emily knows that this is her key light now, so she knows that she's going to want to maybe take and put her head towards that key light so that she stays in what we would call a short light position, right? So there's first frame. Now first frame, I'm going to just go ahead and adjust my shutter speed some, knock it down some, and I'm going to turn this light up to balance that hair light a little bit, because that hair light is a little too bright compared to my key light. So I'm just kind of raising this up, and I'm going to adjust my exposure on my camera until I get a balance between these two light sources. I don't want that. I could go back and turn the hair light down too, but I think this will work just as quickly and maybe faster. So, just doing a couple of quick exposure checks, right? We're not doing anything crazy. But now I'm going to have Emily do something that's a little bit more modern. And one of the things that I would ask Emily to do is even though she's going to be in short light, so that she's going to be stepping with her head into this light, I'm going to ask her to take her right foot and put it way back. Right foot. I'm always going to talk to your right and your left. I'm always going to talk, and this is head position. This is a rotate. This is a tip. So if I say tip to the right, it's tip to the right. Tip to the right. There you go. Tip to the left. There you go. All right. So now that I have her back leg back, I'm going to have her stretch into the light, putting this shoulder down, but I want her to turn her head back this way towards that key light. So it's kind of a physical stretch for her, but so stretch forward with your whole body, come right towards me with your whole body, but keep that weight on that back leg, and then come towards that light. Cool. And I'm just going to change my settings here real quick, get just a little more light on you. So, a little more modern approach for a dramatic light. My problem is twofold, is that my light was too far forward, so we're going to try this again. So drop your left shoulder down, lean forward, and stretch across right there. There you are. Take your left arm, put your left arm right behind your back, and stretch forward again, and rotate your head towards your left, tip your head to the right. Down, chin down just a touch, right there, cool. All right, now, did I actually get a focus on that? It should have focused. Try that one more time. Tip your head a little to the right. So what am I trying to accomplish here? What I'm trying to get from this is a different kind of a modern look. I want a different look than what I had with Tasha, but I want kind of this strong look that I'm getting here, and I don't love the smirk, but I kind of like the light quality, right? I like the light quality, right? The light quality itself is kind of where I want it to be. And so what I'm going to do is just see if we can't get a little bit better expression. And I'm going to change my exposure just a touch here. I went 1/3 of a stop. So yeah, it's really, I know it feels awkward and you think this can't look good. It will. All right. Tip your head, there you are, right there. Tip your head to the right, chin down a little bit, and now don't smile, just give me this kind of real serious pouty look, kind of like, there you are, right there, that's it. That's the look that I wanted, not the smirk on the second one, but the first look, right? That's what I wanted, right? So, each time I'm actually learning to create something, and I'm doing a couple things that are going to make the image better. Now, one of the things that bothers me is that her arm was being lit too much. So with this particular light, I have the ability to adjust not only the intensity, but also the focus. So I'm going to make certain that I focus it in on just her face. Come back and don't grab your position. Don't move the position because this light is going to be very critical. There you are. Don't worry about me. Think about over there, right? And you see how it's still touching her arm, right? So I just took it off of her arm, and again, tip your head a little bit, rotate your head just a little bit towards the light. And you need to drop your left shoulder and bring your right shoulder up. And lunge forward to me. Lunge, lunge, lunge. And then rotate a little more to the left with just your head, not your body. Right there. Right there. Everybody thinks modeling is easy until they get in front of me. Because this is a very awkward position I'm asking her to take, right? I'm saying, I want your body to be here. I want you to lean forward, rotate your head, put your arm behind your back, and still rotate your head this way. So that just took this whole shoulder and neck muscle and just tightened it right up. But if she does all of that, it will put her into a phenomenal position. So I need a big lean forward. I need a tip to the head and then a rotate to the head right there. Cool. We gotta, I don't believe I'm doing this look, but let's see if we had one before that looks better. Yeah, she's got this, I don't believe I'm doing this look. This one's not bad. We can work with this. So there's a couple of things that we try to do when we're doing this type of thing. First of all, think about the classical forms of portraiture. So think about the head position according to the light. Second of all, think about separating. Think about creating that dynamic light form, right? So what I'm going to do is I'm going to ask, what is it? Just call you Z? Oh, Z, I might be able to remember. Z, come on up here. I noticed you two holding hands, so you're not gonna be adverse to me having Emily step forward a little bit. Step forward. Go this way just a touch. Right there. Come in behind her, except I want you over here on this side. All right? And I want you to kind of take your left hand, put your left hand up onto her left shoulder, right? Now, I want it to look natural. So what you're going to do is you're going to kind of lean this way around her. You're going to actually look like you're trying to look at her face, all right? Exactly, just like that. Now, all I need to do is figure out how I'm going to extend this extension cord. And that should be easy enough because I have a cord here. Hold on one second. There you go. So now what I'm going to do is, because I have the two of them, I want the focus of my light to be just on the two of them and just their heads. I want just the relationship between the two of them to be my image. So the relationship is everything. And Z had to be so tall that I have to move everything, Z. Z came in and said, "Hi, I'm with the NBA," and I'd like a portrait with my 5'2" girl. So, Emily, what you need to do is turn your head and look up at him. So it's that relationship, right? That relationship shot is what we're kind of going for. And so we have kind of dramatic lighting, right? And it's easy to take this image. All right, you can stop looking at him adoringly. And it's easy to take this image and to just say, look, let's do this, and let's give them this image, right? Now, how did I create that, right? I created it because I have a small light source up here in this Fresnel that is showing very, very small light. So the shadows on her and him are really dramatic, right? So when you want drama, all right, everybody who knows me really well knows that they all call me a drama queen. And I accept it, right? I am a drama queen. If you look at my images are always very, very dramatic. And I want that drama because I want the viewer of my images to have and experience that emotion that I'm trying to exude to that image. So, I haven't gone through all of the classical forms. I don't know if I need to. There's a couple that are really kind of funky. Here's a funky one. How many people have seen the Blair Witch Project? Did you ever see the Blair Witch Project? Huh? Well, it doesn't matter whether it happened or not. If we want to take Z and Emily and make them look scary, all we do is do that. Right? And all of a sudden it's kind of a different world, right? So Emily, I want you to look like really frightened, like this is, right? That's it, cool. So underlighting is what we use if we're trying to exude kind of this scary type light. Now there's another type of lighting called butterfly lighting. And butterfly lighting is something that's totally different. And butterfly lighting, the easiest way for me to demo that is to come over here, grab a different softbox, I'm going to take my Fresnel off the front. Now, I'm almost done, so you're going to get a chance to do all these shots yourself. I also tell the models that they're going to get images, so I would appreciate images if you know these young models and you would like to support them by giving them some fun images, then please do so. I know I'm right in your face, and I'll get done here in a second. It won't be so bad. I'm going to turn this light. Now, this come back around here. This particular light is going to give me something called butterfly lighting. And in a second, I will show you why it's called butterfly lighting, and then I will show you why it's one of the classic forms of lighting if you want to do cosmetics. So let's do that same look, Z this side, and Emily, but you're going to kind of keep your face towards me just a touch, right there. All right. Now, I'm going to have to change some exposures here, right? But either that or I got to turn that light up a little bit because it's only at 8%. Now what happens with butterfly lighting is that I will get, Emily, if you look straight at my camera now, look straight at the camera right there. Directly underneath her nose, right, I'm trying to do this upside down and sideways. Do you see right here, do you see the shadow underneath her nose? That shadow is what's indicative of butterfly lighting. Now, oftentimes when we do this type of lighting, we will add a reflector right here so that we get what we call clamshell lighting. It's a light on top and a light underneath. Now the reflector underneath will take that shadow out from underneath her nose. But that clamshell lighting is a beautiful lighting set, right? We're not going to do too much of this because it's, it's a little bit more interesting to set up. I'm going to have some people come up, and what I want is we need some photos of Z alone. So Emily's going to step out, and Z's going to know that this light over here is his key light. And we want Z to look really strong and masculine, right? Take his shirt off. We don't need his shirt off. No, none of that. All we need is have Z step a little bit further this way. And what we're going to do is we're going to make certain that he is in what we call what? Broad light, right? And the reason we want him in broad light is that we want this jawline of Z's to become prominent. If Z turns his head away or into the light, watch what happens. Turn into the light. Do you notice you can't see the jawline as much? As soon as you lose this jawline, he starts to have a little more feminine look to him. In order for him to be masculine, we want him to always be looking away from the light. So as a male model, I'm going to say, Z, man, you need to have it ingrained in your head when you get into a set and somebody says, I want to take a portrait, you need to be looking away from that key light. Emily's got to be looking into the key light, right? Now, it's not always the case, right? Because there are times that we want him to look a little softer or a little bit more acceptable to the skincare that he's trying to sell or whatever else. So we might have him go a little bit more feminine. But these are the kind of typical things that we want to pay attention to, all right? Now, again, if I were to turn this into a black and white and then crop this the way I would want to crop it, I'm going to kind of do something like that. And I'm going to add some contrast to him. I'm going to pull his highlights down just a touch, right? And I'm going to leave this kind of as a strong masculine look, right? Even though I don't love that hair. Now, what we need to know is, I don't feel bad. When I was your age, I had hair down below my shoulders. It was the 60s. What the hell, In the 60s, we did lots of things. So I'm not gonna say anything about your little bit of wave, right? If we want a little bit more drama out of him, what can we do? We can imagine that instead of having him move, because I don't want to move my camera, I'm going to do this, and I'm going to move him to the front of my light, right? And when I move him to the front of my light, and I adjust my f-stop here a little bit, and I zoom in as much as I can, and I really would like to have a little more tripod height, but now Z, turn your head towards that light. Just keep, there you go. Look at that. Look at that shot. Go up and look at that. All right? So even though he's in short light, he's in such an extreme short light, and he's so far forward in the light that you don't see the jawline, right? So it's an exception to that rule of broad light versus short light, right? But it makes for a very dramatic type look. Now, I am shooting at something pretty modest. I'm in ISO 1000, shutter speed of 200, and f4.5. Everybody should be able to shoot at those settings, right? So what I want you to do is to, some people can work with Z right here. I'm going to leave Emily here with Z because that's the way it should be. I'm going to take Tasha into the other room for now. We'll be switching around, right? Now, feel free to use these lights. These lights are not expensive. Go ahead and the left-hand dial will adjust the power of the light for you. If you start playing with the right-hand dial, heaven help you.
Yeah, it's strobing, I don't know.
Oh, okay, yeah, see, that was heaven help you, right? I bumped that left hand. So if the left-hand light, the left-hand, or the right-hand dial will actually strobe, it will do lightning, it will do all kinds of crazy things. Or is it too much light on you? Getting a little dizzy? All right, so let Emily start, and Tasha, you're going to come in the other room. Do we have somebody here that thinks that they can help with people in the other room? Do we have a semi-pro? You're shaking your head, but your knowledge is telling me that
You and I shoot very differently.
you do have the knowledge. You
But
just
you and I shoot very differently.
well shoot differently over there.
That's okay.
What do you shoot? What genre?
Well, I shoot brides, and like when the noses on all of these characters would have given me pause
Right,
with the dark shadows.
Right.
On Tasha, for example, there's a bump right here.
right.
If I gave that to a bride, she'd be so pissed I'd never see her again.
And
I'm serious.
right.
Yeah,
No,
so
I understand
the
it, but that's
writing and the noir stuff that you do is just not at all what I do.
no. It's a total different feel, especially modern bride,
Yeah,
right?
exactly.
The modern bride is very soft, you
And I
know.
do windows and I do
Yeah.
diffusing and,
Yeah.
So I can't help you on your stuff because you're very different from me. You're very good, but not my style.
Not your style.
Can you
All
give me a
right.
hand up?
Sure.
Thank you.
Got it.
Appreciate that.
All right. So, do we have somebody else that can help in this room or in the other room?
These two ladies right here.
Okay. All right. So you're up here then.
She's a professional.
So Z, you okay? Yeah. That light strobing got you too much?
That's how hot.
That and hot? You know, what you need to do is eat a little more fat so that you have something to withstand this kind of heat.
So everyone, I want you to know that Z is Chris's son. Hey, Doug, what did you say those settings that you have? You starting out with?
I'm sorry?
You mentioned some settings. What were they?
Oh, ISO 1000, shutter speed of 200, and f4.5. What I want everybody to be able to do today that has their camera is I want you to be able to, before the night's out, I want you to be able to say, I have a photo of Z or Emily in split light. I have a photo of her in short light. I have a photo of her in Rembrandt. I have a photo of her in broad. I have a photo of her in broad Rembrandt and short Rembrandt. So you've got like 6 assignments, right? You need to have each one of those photos so that later you can go back and look at it and say, this is split, this is short Rembrandt, this is broad Rembrandt. Tasha figured it out real quick. You notice how she could just move and knew where the light was hitting her? Emily might have a little more problem, but that's where it's up to you to direct her. You know that if you come to the front of your light source, and I'm going to just turn this one off and turn the other one on. If you come towards the front of the light source, you go to split light. If you go towards the back, you get more and more like Rembrandt until you're beyond Rembrandt and you're into just pure broad or short light, right? So give it a try. You're up. I'm sorry, I don't know names, and I probably won't, but that's okay. Wendy, nice to meet you, Wendy. I'm going to turn this off.
That was really helpful because when you have brides,
All right.